Quorum being determined and everybody being connected appropriately, I will call this meeting to order. This is the April 26, 2021 meeting of the Old Town Design Review Committee. And our first item on the agenda is to review and approve the minutes from April 12. Has the committee had the chance to review the minutes from that meeting?
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Hearing none, we've passed it unanimously. Second item on the agenda is the consideration, I believe this is third item on the agenda, excuse me, is the consideration of a letter of design approval for the proposed design of a new multifamily development, The Mill, located at the northwest corner of Purnell Street and South Mill Street at 156 Edward Street, 535, 511, 421, and 419 South Mill Street, as requested by Sophia Haas, Architecture Demarest, on behalf of Shea Byers, J Street Construction, the property owner. Staff, would you like to begin the presentation?
Yes, so let me share my screen again with you all. So here you can see the elevations. These are very similar to what went before you all about a month ago or so. You can see the various percentages. It's about 36% brick, 40% stucco, 50%, or it varies, but about 35 to 40% brick. We do have some metal siding at the end caps. I put in the memo some of the items that they changed, but they did lower the entryway awning, and they did change up the windows at the front of the building to kind of better relate to the windows going down the rest of the building. So those were some of the changes they made. They also did provide us their elevations for the back side of the building. The elevations for the back side of the building are 100% siding material. And they haven't selected the final colors on that siding. The intent is to kind of go with the neutral tones that they've got across the front. And let me zoom back out here for you. So basically, a little bit different of a recommendation on this. If you all are comfortable with the siding across the back as the material, then we could do one of two things. We could table the meeting until the final colors are selected for that siding, or you could say staff, as long as those colors are in keeping with the color palette that they've established, staff can approve those colors. But if you have concerns about the material, that we'd want to we could approve the front elevations and table the rear elevations until the materials are where you'd like them to be.
Let's talk about the materials first. Let's handle your recommendation one at a time. Let's talk about the materials. Do we have an example of the materials in place? Any place else we can mentally refer to?
So the siding elevation they're using on a portion of the front. And Frankie, the architect's here, and feel free, Frankie, to unmute yourself and jump in when you'd like to.
Sure.
But so it's basically a fiber cement siding. It's typically used for our residential home construction for craftsman style homes. People don't really use wood siding that much anymore, so they use a fiber cement board to kind of get that look and feel. It's a little bit more durable and long lasting. But we don't have a multi-family structure really that has that kind of much siding. The brownstones behind City Hall have brick on the front and sides, but siding on the rear. I think you guys might be familiar with that project.
But that's kind of lap coverage, or is it just a overall sheet to sheet seam coverage?
So yeah, it's a. You can see it's lap siding, and they're expecting James Hardy lap siding, and then it would be painted.
Good information. And when staff this is a question to staff.
Mhm.
When you describe staying in the color patterns, for example, sometimes that type of siding is used as a contrast element where you have, say, for browns and darker tans or brick color, you might have a cream or a light tan or a camel for the contrasting hardy board or siding component. What you're saying is that would not be the case here, and we would be in the color range of the actual primary brick or whatever color families. Is that correct?
No, I'm saying that we'd follow the color palette that's already been established. So basically looking for, and I'm trying to get this to not jump on me when I scroll to it. But you can see there's a brick. I wouldn't want the siding necessarily to match the brick, but they are proposing to paint the siding different colors to provide some kind of relief, on the structure. And Frankie, you can probably tell us a little bit more about the proposed siding colors.
Well, the reason why we just put the black and white because we just first of all we have not decided color yet, but secondly we try to make sure the color will be coordinate with the front materials, and then they won't look kind of weird that the rear elevation will totally different. So the main goal is just trying to set the tone of the building design is coordinated. So the color, it can be decided anytime we want. As soon as the painter is not putting paint on it, if you guys want to see the paint color, paint chip, we can send you the color palette anytime you want it. So due to the project budget, we try to spend the money on the Mill Street and then the panel. So then the backside just kind of a little bit tone it down. I mean, we are not using very cheap material, but lap siding or side panel is still a very durable materials. Okay. And I'm sure that you guys know about this. And then so color wise, we can try to do probably the lower wall table, like the first floor would be one color, maybe just raised up and down, just kind of similar to what we have seen on the front elevation. So if you, Michelle, can you go back to the front elevation, would you mind? And then if you see the color, we will probably break down some element with a kind of a walnut color, some is like a dark color, and then they will go up and down to make it more coordinated. So it won't be a totally different elevations for sure.
Okay, so let's go back to the other elevation, Michelle.
Okay.
Because I want to be as, and I think that we'll speak for the committee in this, I feel comfortable. We want to be as economical with your time as possible, and if we can understand it, that may allow us to do that without having to bring anything back. I guess the one more, Michelle. There was one with the entire perspective on, yeah, there we go. So what I'm seeing here are zones of where colors may change.
Yes.
So far left, beginning with the two, all the way to the right with the 2 rows of patioed windows.
Right.
Could be one color.
Yeah.
The next section, another color.
Yeah.
And all those would be within the complementary color sets associated with the front of the building.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
That will be the same language, and then just like and then try to carry on the architecture back to the building.
And so far as we know, there is no Dayglow orange as a part of that, right?
No. You won't see pink for sure.
Okay.
Or any neon color. They will be the same color. The reason why we didn't put it in because we still need to work with the owner and the interior and try to make that more how to blend it in. We have different opinions, so that we try to make it look nice. So that's why we don't want to commit like right away. So we just always change it later. We just try to make it a good, very important decision. So then we can, if you guys want to see the color, we can submit the color to you all anytime if we want it. Okay. We can speed up the process, but at least the architecture is the same as the front.
And really, looking at your overall kind of aerial view that you have of the site project, basically the backs aren't really seen because it's surrounded the way the buildings wrap all the way around, unless you are coming up Houston Street or one of those back residential streets. It seems like everything's fairly concealed along the back from the Mill Street or Purnell Street, basically entrances.
You would, yeah, I think you're correct. Most of it would be bought from Purnell. However, this is quite a bit taller than the surrounding properties. So you definitely would see it from Houston and Edwards and possibly portions of Purnell as well, just because the height is so much higher.
Okay.
So as I understand it, before us, we have a couple of paths to proceed. Number one, given the assurance that the color palette is associated to the complementary colors on the front of the building, and we see what they're trying to achieve, that may be something the committee may want to consider approving, or we could table this, table the back, so the approval with of the back color selection based upon future input. Are those the two paths we have?
Yeah, correct. So if y'all are comfortable with the 100% siding, I think that's really what the applicant wants to know if is going to.
Oh, okay. Rather than the color selection, if we're comfortable with the use of the siding. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then secondly, yeah, if you're comfortable with the use of the siding, then the color needs to be resolved, and we can do that either administratively or bring it back to y'all at a later date.
Well, thank you for that clarification, staff. Then that would be another item. Has a question to Mr. Frankie, has any consideration of kind of an incorporation of a faux segmentation of that backside been used, whether it's a lapboard siding on the, with everything 12 feet and above, and a kind of a solid wall construction 12 foot and below to provide something other than just the presence of lapboard from ground to ceiling?
I think that's the possibility. I think that the bump out will be a different kind of texture or different kind of pattern. So that is pretty easy to achieve.
And I have no preference over that. I'm just indicating that it might be one way to the consideration of the committee discussing how they feel about the use of that material for the entire siding, for the entire, I guess, the entirety of that side of the building. I will any comments or questions on that particular component?
I think based off kind of what Michelle had pointed out with the projects that are behind City Hall on Walters, kind of following the same suit. And I know, South Village does the same thing. It's got brick on the front, all the back and the sides are the siding. I'm not opposed to it, especially if you look at it, you can tell there is differentiation with the garage doors, the windows, the patios, so it is kind of broken up. It's not just one solid wall across the back. I think using some complementary to the front, and that color palette as far as painting also brings in some of that differentiation as well. So I'm not opposed to it.
Okay. Any other comments about the material? So it sounds as if we've had a good, solid discussion on the color and the material. I'm
comfortable with things going back to staff. We've done that quite a few times in the past, as far as color selection goes. And I think that we're kind of all in tune with one another, overall ideas and not bringing in something from left field. So I've always been comfortable in the past kind of referring to staff. That way they don't have to wait or time meetings, or it puts them behind, down the line.
Mm-hmm.
And if you wanted to do that, Jack, when Amanda was chair, oftentimes we just shoot her an email being like, this is what they've submitted.
Okay.
And kind of just get her blessing as the chair as well.
Mm-hmm.
Then I would be happy to hear that as a motion.
You want to go for it, Ben? It's between you and I.
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve the plans as proposed.
And then you would say, and delegate to staff and the chair ability to approve the final color selection.
Yes, and dedicate to staff the right to make the color selection. How does that work? Is that good?
So I understand the motion, so that
So
I'll
that's,
second that.
we've got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Then it looks, what else do we have on our agenda today?
just real quick, was that all 3 ayes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Unanimous.
Perfect. Let me share my screen again. That was the last item on our agenda today.
Well, I've sometimes called for an adjournment, but we'll go ahead and be wild today and just say we'll call it. And having no other minutes, any other discussions amongst the committee or staff?
We're looking forward to the project.
Yep, we are exciting too. It's
It
going
looks
to be
very
nice.
exciting. That's awesome.
Thank you so much, Jack. Thanks to my Amanda and Ben and Michelle, of course. And I appreciate it for your time. And I hope that we'll do our best to make the project look excellent.
And I'm sure we're all looking for a great success. Again, because we called adjournment, thank you all very much. We look forward to our next meeting. The staff, I'm sure, will reach out to us with any news or updates as we move forward to that. So with that, everybody, have a great afternoon.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.